Boxing Truth here. I had to talk a little bit about the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. And congratulations to Tyson Fury. He won Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year, only the second British fighter to do that ever in history. Um, he, I don't have a problem with him winning Fighter of the Year. This was a type of 2015 was a type of year where there really was no clear-cut favorite. Not many fighters were very active. Some fighters decided to take the easy route on their last fight, and just wasn't enough fights for in a calendar year to really say a concrete favorite. But in my opinion, I thought it could either be given to Gennady Golovkin or Tyson Fury. I don't have a problem with either one of those guys winning Fight of the Year. I disagree with Canelo. I disagree with Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, he got the decision against Manny, but I don't think he won the fight. And plus, he took the easy route and fought Berto in a pointless fight. So I couldn't give it to Floyd. Canelo, didn't impress me with the Cotto fight. He won, but didn't make a statement. And Tyson Fury, he shook up the world. I mean, what he did was it was impressive. It was shocking. He did something that's not done in boxing very often. I mean, throughout history, there's been fighters that shook up the world, but not very many. And what he did is he has a potential to be not just any type of heavyweight champion, but a particular type of heavyweight champion. He has potential to be a great heavyweight champion. That's what every heavyweight champion should strive for. Don't just be an ordinary champion, a boring champion. Be a champion that can be a great heavyweight champion. That's what Mike Tyson was. He was a great heavyweight champion. He shook up, what he did with his run, his streak, and it was a breath of fresh air. He unified titles. He became undisputed champ. And he did it in such a tremendous fashion. He shook up the world with his punching power and abilities. We just don't see that very often in boxing. The type of fighter with the physicality and tremendous power that Tyson and speed that Tyson had. And throughout history, if you look back, the heavyweight champions that shook up the world, like Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. Those guys shook up the world in their own way. I mean, I'm a boxing historian. I'm not going to explain why, each individual, how they shook up the world. If you're a boxing historian, you know the reasons why. You know why they transcend as a sport. You know the reasons why they're considered, legends. And Tyson Fury, with what he did with Vladimir Klitschko, he has the potential to be a great heavyweight champion, a controversial and charismatic heavyweight champion since Muhammad Ali. In his own words, that's what the world's been waiting for, and it's true. I mean, it's been a dull heavyweight era for years, ever since Klitschko, became the king of the division. He held it for a very long time. Yeah, he gets credit for what he did. A lot of defenses. Almost got close to Larry Holmes, who was close to Joe Louis's record for heavyweight title defenses. But unfortunately, he just wasn't the type of heavyweight champion people could gravitate to. I mean, he did most of his business in Germany. He didn't come to the States unless it was the right opponent. HBO wasn't really interested in buying his fights because they were dreadful. It was a hug fest, a lot of clinching, a lot of holding, a lot of leaning. He just couldn't gravitate to people, to the American public especially, and that's why HBO pretty much was out of the Klitschko's business for years until they finally decided to showcase his fights in 2015. But Tyson Fury, I mean, it wasn't a great fight. It was a shitty fight. But the thing about the heavyweight division, it's a different type of it, it when you watch the heavyweight division, it shows you why the heavyweight division still rules boxing. I mean, I'm on the edge of my seats when I watch big guys fight. I mean, I am, like, especially top level guys. Even though Fury Klitschko was a boring fight, I was on the edge of my seat watching that fight because these guys are huge, and any one big punch can knock them out. The same thing when I was watching Wilder Stavern. Wilder Stavern wasn't a great fight, but I was on the edge of my seat because I wanted to see if Wilder could, upset the apple cart. A lot of people were picking against him in that fight, and rightfully so. The opposition, the resume, and Stavern just looked, a lot. He looked to be the better fighter at that time, But Wilder, he did what he did. He got the upset, and now he's a title holder. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the right promotional backing. People, the American public, are not gravitating towards him. Doesn't seem that many people seem to know who he is. The guy can walk in the streets of New York, and a lot of people won't even recognize him. It's sad, but it is what it is. And he, what I'm hearing, the Barclays Center for Saturday's fight hasn't sold out, not even close to a sellout. But he has to find a way to get more people to come see him fight. He needs to get out there, promote himself, because Al Haymon is not really doing a good job of that. And Tyson Fury, he's a hell of a fighter. I mean, I seen it before the Klitschko fight. I knew he was a much different opponent compared to the title defenses Klitschko had. He had the movement, he had the footwork, he had the boxing ability, he has the IQ, and I knew it was a different fight. But I wasn't 100% confident he could win. He could beat Klitschko. He does have he's been down before. He's looked vulnerable in some fights. But I believe, I don't know how long his reign will be, but I don't see any heavyweight beating him right now. I mean, in my opinion, his biggest threat could be Luis Ortiz, because just like Tyson Fury, Luis Ortiz is a natural bred fighter, long amateur background, almost 400 amateur fights. He never succeeded at the top international level for Cuban boxing, but he had an extensive amateur background. He's got good footwork, good counterpunch ability, strong, very, very good punching power. That is the fight I would like to see. Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury one day. And the Golden Boy is they're rolling the dice with Ortiz. They need to move him as fast as possible because time is not on their side. Luis Ortiz will be 37 years old, so they have to get him in as active and as quickly as possible to get him to the top of the heavyweight division. Right now, he has an interim belt. Has to make a defense against, I think his name's Ustinov, and then we'll see what happens with Ortiz. But the biggest threats for Fury is Luis Ortiz. Anthony Joshua needs to be developed more. But, there have been reports that he chipped Fury in sparring. He beat the shit out of him in sparring. But sparring is sparring. Is the way different compared to fighting under the bright lights and with thousands of people watching you. I mean, there's been many examples of fighters killing it in the gym. They show great potential in the gym, but when they're under the bright lights, they can't perform. And it's just they can't bring that potential out. It's happened to many fighters. It's just a big difference. There's just so much less pressure on you when you're sparring in the gym and, barely anybody's watching compared to fighting in front of a big stage, bright lights, and thousands of people and millions of people watching at home. It's just a big, different experience. And Tyson Fury, he needs to make a statement in the rematch. He didn't have his best performance against Klitschko in the first fight. Klitschko, he didn't show up. He was too hesitant to let his hands go because he was in with an opponent that he couldn't lean on. He couldn't hold and dominate physically. Tyson Fury is a bigger guy, taller, much more lighter on his feet. The feints bothered Klitschko. Klitschko, he's a mentally flawed fighter. He doesn't really have much belief in his chin. He's been knocked out twice. He's been able to master leaning back and not putting his chin in harm's way against smaller, shorter fighters. But against Tyson Fury, he was much more exposed. His chin was much more exposed, so he couldn't really, he wasn't willing to take the risk to land a lot of big shots. He only won about maybe two rounds. The 12th round was the only clear round he won, in my opinion. That was the only clear round he won. But he's gonna have to take more risks in the rematch. He's gonna have to let his hands go. He's just gotta have to have belief in his chin if he wants to win this fight. And Tyson Fury, he needs to improve on his performance. It wasn't his best performance. He couldn't. What Klitschko was able to do, he was able to limit Tyson Fury's offense. He was able to limit his punch output. I mean, Tyson Fury is unpredictable when he fights. He doesn't fight the same way. If you watch all of his fights, he fights differently in like almost every fight. Sometimes he'll fight southpaw for much of the fight. Sometimes he'll switch. Sometimes he'll fight righty. Sometimes he'll box. Sometimes he'll come forward. It really depends on the opponent, who he's fighting. I mean, one of his best performances was against Kevin Johnson. He looked tremendous in that fight. He came forward, was aggressive, combinations and power. That was one of his best performances. Against Steve Cunningham, he knew he was the bigger man, so he pretty much just crowded Cunningham, leaned on him, tired him out, and landed big shots. Against Vladimir, he boxed, he feinted. He knew Vladimir has confidence issues with his chin, and he used his legs. I mean, Tyson Fury, for a big guy, man, is very mobile, very athletic. I've never seen guys that huge that can move like him. It's very, it's very unusual. Him and Luis Ortiz, very good athletic ability for big guys. And Deontay Wilder will be considered the super fight of the division with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury definitely wants that fight. He's been jabbing Wilder for weeks on Twitter. For ever since he won the title, making fun of Wilder, calling him a paper champion, that he ain't shit, that he would knock him out, that he's a basketball player, he's not really a natural born fighter. I mean, Fury had a long amateur background. He was ranked number 3 in the world as a junior. Barely missed the Olympics because of politics. I really believe Tyson Fury would trash Deontay Wilder right now. I need to see more of Deontay Wilder. He just doesn't look physically strong enough to compete with Tyson Fury. Wilder, he uses his advantages in height. He lays on his back foot, uses the jab, makes the shorter fighters come to him and try to get inside on him, and he uses his jab and stays outside. He won't be able to do that with Tyson Fury because he's not the bigger man. Tyson Fury has the height advantage. He won't be able to use that type of style. You have to go after Tyson Fury. And I never seen Wilder have much success going forward against an opponent. He's usually on his back foot, using his legs, but he won't be able to do that with Tyson Fury. That's what makes the fight interesting. But I don't know. I can't see Wilder beating him right now. He needs to get more physically stronger, especially in his legs. His legs look scrawny for a heavyweight. They just don't look strong. Seems like one hard punch can topple him. He needs a lot more work. He needs to get a few more fights, and who knows if that fight will happen. I mean, for years, Wilder wouldn't even mention Klitschko, wouldn't even talk about fighting him. This is why a lot of fans are not really on the Wilder bandwagon. They're not really big believers for a lot of reasons. He's been protected throughout much of his career. He's one of the most protected fighters in boxing today. And Tyson Fury hasn't been protected. He's been wanting to fight the best for years. He's been calling out Vladimir Klitschko since 2011. And Vladimir's team postponed that mandatory defense as long as they could because they knew Tyson Fury was a problem. But, Tyson Fury has to make a statement in his rematch. I believe he'll win this fight a lot easier. A knockout will be a big bonus for him. I believe he'll win the fight. He'll win the rematch. And in my opinion right now, his best competition will be Luis Ortiz. Nah, who knows if that fight will happen, but it's an interesting time in the heavyweight division. There's a lot of talent. It's a lot of names. It's very exciting to see boxing, have a heavyweight division that's worth talking about. There's Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, there's Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker is coming up. There's Luis Ortiz, who is a beast. I want to see all these guys mix and match against each other in the near future. This is